All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the AJW show. I'm here with my commercial broker, Ginger.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey. So today I wanted to interview Ginger just about her origin story and sort of how she came to be this successful, not only commercial broker, but also a successful investor as well. So yeah, let's just get started.
All right.
So Ginger, where did you get your start in real estate? How did you get into this business in the first place?
I was telling you how I bought a house when I was really young.
Yeah.
And so that was pre-recession when they were kind of giving a loan to anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into real estate, was they gave me a loan.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have, but I managed to hold on to it and rent rooms out and stuff when I was in college. Yeah, in Northridge. I bought a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house and rented out the rooms there for 7 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, and I also was working in television and design.
Yeah.
And once the recession hit, there wasn't as many TV jobs,
right.
but there was a job available for a house flipping company in real estate, and so I kind of just stumbled into it.
Yeah. And you went in there and you helped them out. You're like, okay, you need to do all of this design work.
Yeah. I played on my design experience to help them out, because a lot of investors don't have background in design and can make big mistakes when flipping properties by picking the wrong finishes or wrong color schemes and stuff. And then I just got really interested in the numbers side of the business and the management and business development side of things, and grew from there.
Wow. Okay. So you started doing design for this flipping company.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about that. So they would acquire property, they would bring you in to do the design for the flip, and then they would just sell it?
Yeah, I mean, essentially I was an intern, and I was making $15 an hour in 2010, and I, kind of edged in with the design and finishes and choosing that kind of stuff. But I, from day one, they had me analyzing deals. We're flipping a lot of houses in LA.
Yeah. All of LA County, or was there?
At the time, they were mostly flipping stuff in South LA.
Okay, yeah.
And we were buying stuff. I mean, now those houses are West Adams. Houses are around $700,000. We were buying stuff for $250,000, putting $30,000 in, and selling it for $350,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was very cookie cutter, and I started kind of pushing it a little bit more into Northeast LA. Yeah. Kind of more fun and hipster style, and we got our niche kind of in Highland Park.
Highland Park. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So in the end, it was really fun, and the numbers then were great too, because we were buying stuff in Highland Park for $320 and selling it for $460 or something like that.
Wow.
And putting 60 in, and it grew from there. Eventually we ended up doing some multi-million-dollar flips in West LA or Brentwood. But a lot of our bread and butter was in Highland Park, Echo Park.
Right. And
just having fun with colors and woodwork and creativity on those flips.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then, so you worked at this company for 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what brought you to Phoenix?
Good question. LA got really expensive, and my investment company was a little bit risk adverse. Main investor had lost a lot of money during the recession, and had some development deals that went south. And so he said, I'm holding onto the portfolio that we built, which was mostly at that point multifamily stuff in Northeast LA. And so I had to look into other places and other opportunities. It was either go higher risk in LA and just scrape and build, multi-million-dollar homes, or come out here to Phoenix where my dad was doing business. And I saw the numbers here, and I just thought that they were more economical.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
So you come out here, and then what was your first move as far as real estate investing goes here?
Yeah, here. I bought that single-family house in Scottsdale for $280,000.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that was my first move. Did a full gut rehab on that. Eventually turned it into an Airbnb vacation home, and just sold it.
That's right. Yeah, to an investor then.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
An Airbnb investor. So.
Gotcha. Cool. And what sort of deals? If you're on the screen right now, you can see that this is the Maxwell Property. How long ago did you guys acquire this one?
So we bought this in June of 2018, so a little bit more than a year ago.
Okay.
We just finished fully renovating all 36 units, exterior and interior, nuts and bolts stuff like AC and roofs, in addition to making it look pretty. Yeah. And now we're about to refinance it. Yeah. So it's definitely a big deal for me. Definitely the biggest multifamily deal I've done, and happy with it. Yeah.
How much cash did you put down on this property?
So I mean, I didn't put any cash on it. I'm just kind of the sweat equity partner in this. But you know, the investors put a lot of money into it. Yeah. They spent about $32,000 per unit on the renovation.
And it's 30 units.
36.
Oh, 36.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's because, you know, you can do a cheap renovation for $6-7 grand, but you're not going to be doing the hard stuff like the roofs, the ACs, resurfacing the pool, doing all the equipment, plumbing, electrical updates, that kind of stuff. So it was a full rehab, as I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one is, you know, I think its future is bright. We're here in Central Phoenix, and we look forward to seeing the property grow, but we're happy with like the tenant base and everything that we have going on now.
Right. So you just put sweat equity into it. How much cash flow are you making a month now?
The project would probably make around $12,000 a month.
Okay, gotcha. Cool, sweet. And how did you find this opportunity? Were you already partners with these investors? Did they come to you?
So I was already partners in helping them as my clients and my partners in finding a multifamily investment. They're commercial investors, and they're trying to diversify into multifamily through 1031 exchanges. And we put an offer on this probably 3 days after it came on the market.
Wow.
So, that's awesome. Just like in Los Angeles, if a good deal doesn't last long, you got to snap it up pretty quickly.
Right, for sure. Well, for my listeners out there, if you've been listening, Ginger has been helping me break into the Phoenix market. And so I guess I sort of wanted to ask you, what sort of advice would you have for me as a beginning investor going after my first property?
Good question. I think focus on your core competency and what you can do to bring value to the property. Okay. So if you're handy, you know, maybe you can make improvements to the property. Yeah. If you're good with people and you're good with documents, maybe you can manage it yourself. Right. Find something that you can add to it to cut costs. Okay. And probably for you, I would say management would be a number one thing that I think you could do. Gotcha. To add value in addition to all the stuff that you're already doing, running numbers, verifying facts and figures on the property, inspecting it, of course, before you buy. All that basic stuff. But gotcha. You can save a lot of money in this business by doing at least one thing yourself. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, so I have another question. I do want to go after multifamily. Technically, 4 units and below is considered residential. Right. So this is something I haven't even Googled yet. Probably should have. But when you're analyzing the value of a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, typically 5 units or more, you're looking at, you know, it's valued on how much income it brings in. Mm-hmm. But what about these 2 to 4 units? Is it value based still on comps, or is it value based on the income it brings in? That's a good question. I mean, I think that generally it's still valued on how much income it brings in. Yeah. But because it is residential, if you're in a high-end area, the income might not make sense. Right. You know, it might be a duplex where, you know, you rent out 1 unit and it cuts a little bit off your mortgage, but you still have a larger payment because you're in a really desirable area. Say here would be South Scottsdale or something like that. Gotcha. You know, it's not going to be a moneymaker for you, but it's going to reduce your cost of living in those high-end areas. And sometimes it doesn't make sense just based on financials because it's built for someone to live there as well. Right. And then other times it does make sense. It just kind of depends on the property and where it's at, you know. And you have to kind of look at it as a hybrid between residential and commercial because you know how residential, you know, home values are so based on where the property is located and not about how much money it makes because someone's going to be paying the mortgage themselves. So it's kind of in between. And I would say the nicer areas are going to be more valued like a residential property. And, you know, probably more of the working class areas are going to be valued on an income. Right. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. So I'm looking at properties and I'm analyzing the value. They give me the numbers. Okay.
So according to, the income it brings in and the cap rate, it should be valued at this, right? I'm sure, we've already talked about this, but a lot of the properties, I might be doing the calculations wrong. A lot of the properties seem a little overpriced compared to the income they're bringing in, which makes sense. As a seller, I would want to do that. Is your suggestion that I should just keep looking? Should I? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I would always just suggest two things. One, keep looking.
Yeah.
Two, like we talked about, if it's closed within 10% or 15% of the purchase price, go for it. Make an offer. If it's 50% off, you might not want to even bother with it. Right. But other things that you want to keep in mind is that we're late in the cycle here. Everybody's kind of trying to see how much they can get. Yeah. But something that's really overpriced usually isn't selling. And so you have a little leverage there, especially if it's been on the market for a long time, to make an offer 10, 15% undervalue. And then the other thing to keep in mind is you want to look at the future potential of the property, because they might have someone in there renting for a very low rate, and the building might be in poor shape. If you were to fix it up and put a new tenant in there, just put your numbers in there for how much it would cost to fix it up, and then get that new person in there. And that's how most investors are doing things right now. Gotcha. They're looking at the future potential of the property.
Right. Gotcha. So they're analyzing it on a pro forma.
Yeah,
basis.
A lot of it is. And it's been pro forma for a while. It's been about 5 years of pro forma. And you have to be conservative. You have to be careful and put contingencies in there for especially construction costs, because those are really questionable. Right, yeah. And also with rents, stay conservative. But if someone has a really low rent there, a couple things could be going on. And so you just need to learn more about the property before you completely just cross it off your list. Right.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you were talking earlier about how, if you're a new investor starting out, you should know your one thing that you're really, really, really good at to bring value to this deal. What was the one thing that you were good at or great at?
Initially I was good at design. Right. And that's what I could do, was kind of, direct the contractors who generally aren't really good at design, and you're pulling them away from their core competency, which is actually doing their trade. Yeah. And being able to pick and provide materials and paint colors and source deals for them became a core competency for me. And just oversee, and manage the project. Yeah. Right.
Kind of like what you did here, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. This is just a curiosity question I have. I know a lot of people got spanked during the recession, especially in Arizona. I think it was one of the worst top 5 cities. I could be wrong. Pulling the revenues.
Phoenix was one of the worst.
Right, yeah. So we're coming up. It seems that a recession is kind of overdue, maybe. Right. This is the longest upcycle we've had in a long time. What are your thoughts about that as an investor in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, couple thoughts. So one thing about Phoenix is that it was really a home builder's economy back then in 2006, 2007. A lot of the jobs were based on building new homes, and they expanded greatly, and we didn't have a super diversified economy. And the cool thing about Arizona and Phoenix is that it's diversified a lot more now. We have a lot more tech jobs, a lot more professional and healthcare jobs, and so we think our economy is in a lot better shape. We also haven't been building single-family homes the way we have previously. Really? We were previously, yeah. They're still building single-family homes, but now Phoenix is actually undersupplied for housing. Where at the last cycle, it was oversupplied. Yeah, and I'm just going to quote the CoStar economists on that undersupply thing, and I can send you some info on that. But basically, a lot of cities became undersupplied in housing after the recession because there was not a lot of liquidity, and for many years, builders weren't building, and so now we're kind of playing catch up, and we're fixing up dilapidated structures and stuff like that, but we might not be adding as much supply or as much affordable supply to the market as we should. Right. And then the other thing is, recession-wise, is look, if you hold on to a property, and multifamily is the best type of property to hold on to, in my opinion, because you can always find a tenant, Retail's getting hurt right now because the internet, you don't need stores as much, so it really has to be a service-based business. but we're not going to be able to live on the internet. And so multifamily is a great way to invest your money and hold on. You might have to not make any money for a while. You might have to lower the rent for your tenants that are great tenants in order for them to make it through. But as long as you don't sell or get foreclosed on, you don't lose.
Right.
You know, there's only two numbers that really matter in real estate. It's what you bought it for and what you sold it for.
Right.
Everything in between is you holding on to your ass and either making money or losing money.
Right.
But you're not going to lose if you don't sell and you don't get foreclosed on. If you can make your payments and weather through a recession, you'll generally come out on top.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like, I was literally thinking this yesterday. I was driving through somewhere and I just saw all these different empty spaces in like commercial buildings, like, oh, you know, office for, you know, for lease. And I'm just thinking, because my day job, I work at a brick and mortar store, and the overhead is just so much. Like, I just wish we could just take it offline, and that's part of my job, is taking it offline. And I'm just thinking, like, any company that doesn't have to actually rent a space is such an advantage now. Like, I don't ever want to do like commercial spaces unless it was like the Americana or like the Grove. Like, I love those places. Like, I think places like that just make the city just a better place. Like, eventually, if I do own commercial spaces, I want to build something like that. But for now, multifamily is like, everyone needs a place to live. Businesses don't need a brick and mortar now. And like you said, unless it's like a service-based business, which for us, we're a medical spot. We kind of need that space. We can't just go into people's homes and bring the machines with us. You know, that wouldn't make any sense. So in that sense, we kind of do need a brick and mortar, but you know, multifamily just makes so much more sense, at least to me, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it's not for everybody, but it's a great form of investment. I've always said, like, when the recession hit, you know, if I was heavily loaded into stocks, there would be nothing I could do. You know, I'd be less than 1% shareholder on any company that I invested in, and no one would care if I kicked and screamed at their shareholder meeting.
Right.
But the cool thing about real estate is that you can get up there, you can paint the walls, you can retile the bathroom, and you can rent it out.
Yeah.
You can find somebody to live in your property, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You know? Of course, there's properties that no one wants to live in or locations that might be terrible. But I'm talking about something that's in a city. You're generally going to be able to find a tenant and weather through.
Right.
You know, you have to make sense of your numbers at the purchase, and you know there are some people that made bad purchases that just couldn't make sense once everything came tumbling down. But multifamily is one of the most fundamental types of real estate out there, and you know, we do see some cap rate compression, low cap rates because of that right now, because people see it as a safe investment, and it generally speaking it is.
That makes sense. Okay, here's one question. What's the worst deal you've ever done? And why?
Oh, man. Okay. So we did a flip with my former company in Los Angeles on a hillside in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super beautiful property.
Do you mind sharing the street?
Street was Clayton Street.
Great
views. House was in poor shape and historic setback, very technical hillside kind of deal. Long story short, there was a grandfathered portion of the house that needed to be preserved in order for the plans to be realized legally speaking.
Okay.
And the contractor took out the grandfathered portion of the property. Do you know what that means, like a grandfathered portion of the house?
Something about... Explain.
It's like an old room that is in the setback now, but when it was built, it was perfectly legal. So the city said as long as it stays standing, it's grandfathered in. And you see that a lot in Los Angeles with like garages that are on zero lot lines or additions or houses that are literally sitting on the lot line.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, the contractor actually demoed it and rebuilt it because it was stronger structurally, lost the grandfathered rights. Neighbor was a lawyer. You get that a lot in these high-end neighborhoods. Sued. And the company was on the hook for, 10% hard money at the time.
Wow.
Or 9.5, something like that. So the lawsuit, the city involvement, they had to redraw all the plans, all this kind of stuff. The hard money ate away at all the profit, and it was a really bad deal, unfortunately. I had moved on to Arizona about halfway through that, and it wasn't really something in my control, but that just goes to show how there's so many variables at play when you're flipping or developing a property that you have to be aware of, and you have to make sure your entire team's aware of it. And so that was a pretty, in the end, it was a beautiful property, but it didn't make money. It lost money.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was the best deal you've ever done?
Oh, man. In terms of ROI, we flipped a house that had been like neglected in San Bernardino very early on in my career in real estate, and I believe it was a 38% return on investment.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What about it made it such a good deal?
The house was smoke damaged, so nobody wanted to buy it, and we were able to remediate that.
Smoke damage, like fire?
Fire, yeah. It was basically that they had an illegal fireplace that was just basically smoking up the whole house for years.
Wow.
And so, you know, there's a lot of drywall replacement, ozone, and all this kind of stuff to repair and get rid of that smell. But, we were able to remediate it and make a huge profit in the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really the best deal, because it was small, but it's the best ROI.
ROI, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, this is one thing I'm curious about. How did you become a commercial broker?
So I'm actually an agent. My broker is Steve Fowler. He's been out here in the business for 40 years in Arizona. Really cool dude. Yeah. And basically, I moved into commercial once I came here. Yeah. I was helping out my family with their commercial properties, buying and selling land and selling their commercial properties for them. Yeah. And I also multifamily, of course, being in my background, it was just a natural step to go beyond 4 units and do some bigger deals. And so that's how I got into it out here in Arizona. Wow. Yeah.
Would you recommend an investor become an agent? Would it help? Would it hurt? What do you think?
Yeah, I generally recommend an investor get their license if they're interested in actually doing it. Right. Because it is a lot of schooling and work and maintenance that you have to do. So I would say you have to put at least, a day a week into the work. If you can't do that, it's not worth it. Right. And then also you have to be even more ethical as an investor who's also an agent. Right. There's certain
things.
Yeah, there's conflict of interest, there's legal stuff. So if you're geared towards, legal and ethical kind of rigmarole, then I say go for it. Right. If some investors are a little bit too fly-by-night and it's probably not best for them to be an agent, it's better for them to work with an agent who can kind of help them stay in line.
Compliant.
Yeah, and compliant. But I do recommend it. I think it's great schooling to go through for really anybody that's interested in real estate.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Now let's say you got someone just starting out. They just woke up and they're like, I need to do real estate. Or they just read Rich Dad Poor Dad and they're like, I need to do real estate. What would you recommend how would they get educated? What do they need to do to get the knowledge to go forward?
Yeah, I mean, I always say get in the business. Okay. Whether you're working for a property management company or a contractor or a broker or an inspector, just get in the business. Yeah. And I think that, being on the brokerage side or the property management side is probably the best way to learn, or the investment, working for an investment company. Right. But
why?
Just because, you're doing it every day. Right. You can't compete with that. If you go home after work and you read, someone who's been doing it for 8-9 hours that day is going to have an advantage on you. Right. And then you just kind of get a real life understanding of how things go as opposed to just a textbook understanding. Right. So, intern, apprentice, whatever you can do, but work with someone in the business.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. We're almost done here. I just have a few more questions. Sure. Number one, what's the best real estate book you've ever read?
Oh, man. I don't know. I really don't read that many real estate books. Yeah. Because I'm so busy doing it all the time.
Right. But I guess that's good.
I guess Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. I did read that a long time ago. Another book that I've read is called The E-Myth. Yeah, it's not necessarily, they have a real estate version.
Really?
Yeah, it's just kind of about building a team, right? And managing a team that works for you and is efficient and stuff. And so, as I've grown, I think that that's become more important important, you know.
Right.
Maybe I should go back and read it again.
Right. And I was going to say, as number 2, what's the best business book you've ever read? Would you say it's The E-Myth?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, a lot of my reading is not dedicated to business because most of my life is.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think really it's helpful to touch base with some of those books, but it's more important to be in business,
right.
you know, and to be around people who are and have mentors that are a little bit older and wiser and have been in business as well.
Right, right. Immersion.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is something I've never really looked into, but if someone wanted to get started into being a commercial agent, what would their first steps be?
Usually the path to commercial agency is residential agency.
Okay.
So I think it's always good to at least start out with your regular residential license.
Yeah.
And then, you know, stay close to someone who's in commercial so that you can start learning the way they do business. And a lot of the time the contracts are different and the jargon is different. So as you start to learn that, you can move in. There's no difference in the license. It's the same license. So it's really just that you can't represent yourself as someone who knows about commercial unless you've done it.
Right.
And so you should stay close to someone who's done it, let them kind of get you in so that you're not misleading your clients once you do become a commercial agent. No one wants to work with an agent that's brand new and be doing a $4 million commercial deal. You know?
Of course.
So it's just kind of like, you know, baby steps into it. And I think doing a couple residential transactions goes a long way.
Gotcha.
I mean, maybe more than a couple.
Right, yeah.
A few dozen.
Yeah, a few dozen.
No. I mean, really, I think you can learn pretty quickly if you can stay close to somebody, but you should have at least, let's say, 5-10 residential transactions under your belt before you get really moving in commercial.
Gotcha.
From my opinion. Right.
And did you ever find or have a mentor or have someone you consider a mentor in this real estate investment game? Yeah,
definitely. So I have my former boss, Greg Yost in Los Angeles, Delray Financial, and he was a great mentor. He started out in insurance and annuities and was a self-made millionaire through that and then moved into real estate. So I was lucky enough to be in his office every day, learning from him. And then I also have my dad, who's been a long time commercial real estate developer.
Yeah.
My mom is a broker. So it all kind of, you know, I didn't have to go too far to find these people. So I think I'm very lucky in that way.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. My dad, he, well, actually, both my grandpas, they were self-made millionaires through real estate in Phoenix.
Wow.
Completely separately. Yeah. And my dad went into real estate, and then the market crashed, and so then there was that. So he actually completely jumped ship to become an internet marketer, and he was really good at that. He worked with a bunch of Fortune 500 companies, and I'm also starting to learn a lot about internet marketing. You know, learning some tips and tricks from him as well. So yeah, I think I'm very lucky to have that side as well because
that's good.
Well, it's definitely helped me feed myself. So.
Yeah, and real estate has a lot to do with internet marketing, especially this day and age. So they're totally compatible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, that's all the questions I have for today. Do you have any last notes, last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to do really well, and you just have to immerse yourself and work hard and see what you can do yourself to save money.
Gotcha.
And just be conservative because you're young.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't lose, you'll always win.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, folks, that was it for today. Go out there, take charge, hustle.